This is my eyeball process part 11, silicone eyelid test. The first thing is I mounted a piece of metal key stock to the bottom of the animatronic eye. This will allow me to mount the eye upside down while taking an impression using alginate. I mix up a small amount of prosthetic alginate. I lift the eye and I place the alginate. I don't want the alginate to flow over the inner lid. This could create a lockup. About 10 minutes I demold. The eye impression really turned out well. I mixed up some dental stone and I poured the impression. I wait 15 minutes and I demold. Now I'm going to sculpt an eyelid. The clay I'm using is clean clay. Now I don't like sculpting with clean clay, but I had it in front of me and that's what I'm using. I lay some clay and I kind of sculpt an eyelid. I'm not putting a whole lot of detail into this eyelid. It's just a test. One thing about this test, I found out that I don't like sculpting with clean clay. I place the eye into a container lid and I cut the bottom out of the container. I place more clay around the sculpture. Using the clay in the wall of the container, I finish up the sculpture and get ready for molding. I spray crystal clear on the sculpture and I apply a thin layer of Vaseline onto the stone eye. And I mix up some more dental stone. I pour in the stone and I vibrate. About an hour later I demold. I simply pop it out of the container. I remove the clay block out and I open the mold. I take the stone eye and I put it aside. I won't use it anymore. Now here's a mold of an eyelid. Now I take some more clean clay and I start laying it into this eye mold. I'm trying to get this clean clay thin, very thin, mainly or just around the eye. The clay is okay to be a little thicker on the outer edge, but my main goal is to make it thin where the eyelids are. I'm using a brush with rubbing alcohol to smooth out the clay. After smoothing out, I spray it with crystal clear. Using a knife, I cut out mold keys on each corner. I apply a thin layer of Vaseline on each mold key and also the eyeball socket. And I'll place the mold into the molding container. Molding this thin layer of clay will give me the thickness of the skin. This test I'm using strictly dental stone, and you could use UltraCal 30. It will work fine. I'm doing this test mainly to see how much fluid, motion, movement that I have with the silicone skin. Now it's time to demold, and I clean up the mold, just removing the clay. Removing clay from a mold can be quite difficult sometimes. Just takes patience, and be careful not to scratch the mold. And I use rubbing alcohol to soften the clay.